He is 21 years old, and he is asleep on the floor of an office he can no longer afford to keep. The lights are off. The rent is gone. Outside, Kansas City is cold, and inside there is nothing left but a young man, a few rolled-up drawings, and silence. Within weeks, he will leave this city with one reel of film and almost nothing else. His name is Walt Disney. Most people think they know this man: the smiling mouse, the castle, the fireworks lighting up a perfect sky. That version is comfortable. It is also incomplete, because underneath the cheerful surface is a story about loss, about a man who built an empire on one private rule and who would spend the rest of his life trying to make sure he never broke it. The rule was simple: never let anyone take what you create. He learned it the hard way, at the worst possible age, and it never left him. Before we go further, here's a quick question for you. If you had to start completely over tomorrow with nothing, would you have the nerve to do it? Just answer yes or no in the comments below. Now back to Walt. By the time he reaches California, he is broke, alone, and carrying a suitcase with almost nothing inside it. What he does not know yet is that the worst betrayal of his life is still ahead of him. It will not come from a stranger, it will come from a business partner, in a quiet office over a character Walt thought belonged to him. But that is later. First, there is the beginning, the part most people skip. Walter Elias Disney is born in Chicago in the winter of 1901. As a small boy, his family moves to a farm outside Marceline, Missouri. Those few years on that farm will stay with him for the rest of his life. The orchard behind the house, the animals he treats like friends. A kind of peace he will spend decades trying to rebuild and never quite manage to find again. It does not last. By 1911, the farm is gone and the family has moved to Kansas City. The work starts early. His father takes on a paper route, and Walt is out in the dark by 3:30 most mornings delivering papers before school even begins. He says years later that the cold from those mornings never fully leaves him. There is little warmth at home and even less money, so he looks for both in the one place that gives it back to him: the drawings he makes in the margins after the papers are delivered and before the day really starts. When the war reaches America, he is too young to fight, so he lies about his age and drives an ambulance through France for the Red Cross. He comes home with one certainty: he wants to draw for a living, and almost nothing else interests him. He finds work, and he finds a partner who draws faster and quieter than anyone he has ever met. Together they make short cartoons. Audiences like them. It is enough to convince a group of businessmen to back a studio of his own. He is 21 years old, and for one short stretch, it looks like the beginning of something real. Then comes the deal that teaches him exactly how this business works. A distributor agrees to pay him over $11,000 for 6 cartoons. Serious money in 1922. The contract is built like a trap. The studio delivers the work. The distributor pays almost nothing up front and goes bankrupt before another dollar arrives. The animators leave one by one. Walt gives up his apartment. And that is how a 21-year-old ends up sleeping on the floor of his own dying company, washing once a week at the public baths, and surviving on cold beans straight from the can. He does not stop. He bets everything on one last idea: a real child dropped into a hand-drawn world. It is not enough. By the summer of 1923, the studio is finished, and Walt does the one thing almost nobody in his position would do. He sells his camera, buys a one-way ticket, and leaves. He has no studio, no money worth counting, just a worn suitcase, one unfinished reel of film, and a stubbornness that borders on foolish. It will take one more betrayal, sharper and far more personal than this one, before that stubbornness hardens into the rule that builds an empire. That betrayal is waiting for him in New York 4 years from now, in a room he thinks he is walking into as a winner. The room in New York feels like a celebration waiting to happen. It is February of 1928. Walt is 26 now. The hard Kansas City years are behind him, and he has a hit. After everything, he finally has a hit. A rabbit, drawn by his own hand, loved by an entire country. There are toys with this rabbit's face on them, candy with his name on the wrapper. For the first time in his life, Walt has built something the whole nation wants. So he comes to this office expecting a raise. What he gets instead is the floor opening up beneath him. The man across the table explains, calmly, that the studio owns the rabbit, not Walt. The character he drew, the character he made famous, belongs to someone else entirely. And there is more. While Walt has been celebrating, this same man has quietly signed away almost every animator in his studio. Take a pay cut, Walt is told, or watch them make the rabbit without you. It is a clean trap, and it is already closed. Walt refuses. He walks out of that office having lost his biggest star and most of his crew in a single conversation. Only one man refuses to follow the money, a quiet animator named Ub Iwerks. On the train home, defeated and furious, Walt starts sketching something new, a small character, round-eared, built from memory. He wants to call it Mortimer. His wife thinks that sounds stiff. She suggests Mickey instead. The first 2 Mickey cartoons go nowhere. No one wants them, but the third one is different. Walt adds something nobody else had tried: sound. The mouse can whistle. He can keep time with the music. Audiences have never seen a drawing do that before. Overnight, Mickey becomes a sensation, and Walt Disney becomes a name people actually know. But underneath the success, something in him has changed permanently. He has learned, in the worst possible way, what happens when you do not own what you make. From this point forward, every character, every idea, every frame that leaves his studio will belong to him, only him. That rule will build the largest entertainment company on Earth. It will, decades later, fail the one group of people he never expected it to fail: his own family. He spends the rest of his life expanding that rule. A film so ambitious Hollywood mocks it before it is even finished. A theme park he funds himself because no banker believes in it. A second secret project in Florida, bought under fake company names so no one can drive up the price of the land. Piece by piece, he builds a world that answers to no one but him. And then, in December of 1966, he is gone. Lung disease, 65 years old. A man who spent his whole life trying to control everything dies before his biggest project is even built. His brother Roy finishes it for him, renames it in Walt's honor, then dies 10 weeks after the ribbon is cut. Both founders gone within 5 years of each other. And here is where the story turns. Because the company they built does not stay in the family's hands. It gets run by outsiders, nearly broken apart by corporate raiders, rescued, then run by men who never met Walt and owed him nothing. By 2003, the last Disney left with any real power inside that company looks around at what it has become and decides he cannot stay quiet anymore. He writes a letter. He starts a public campaign, and shareholders by the thousands side with him against the man running Walt's own company. It works. The chief executive is forced out. But it is the last time a Disney will ever hold that kind of power again. Today, the company is worth over $200 billion, and not one person with real control over it carries the name on the building. In fact, one of the loudest public critics of the Walt Disney Company today is a Disney herself, Walt's own grandniece, standing outside the gates her family built, telling the world the company has lost its way. Walt spent his entire life making sure nobody could ever take what he built. In the end, the one thing he could never control was what happened after he was gone. So here's the question worth sitting with. Can anyone truly protect what they build once they are no longer here to defend it? That question becomes even darker in our next story, where a different empire, built by a different self-made man, did not just slip out of his family's hands, it was deliberately taken from them by someone they trusted completely, while the body was barely cold. You won't want to miss what he did.